Welcome to Aurora English, the place where we talk about big ideas in clear, natural English so you can improve your listening and learn new expressions along the way. I'm William, the more serious one today. I always try to keep things logical and backed up with facts, but don't worry, Sophia will balance me out with her energy and real-life stories. We're both really happy you're here, and today we're diving deep into a question that everybody thinks about. Is all this technology actually making us smarter, or is it slowly turning us into the laziest versions of ourselves?
And I'm Sophia, the fun one, obviously. Hey everyone, get ready because we're about to have a friendly fight about whether technology is turning our brains into supercomputers that can do anything or into soft, lazy mashed potatoes that just sit there. I brought coffee, snacks, and a million examples from my own life because, let's be honest, I'm living proof of both sides. Some days I feel like a genius because of my phone, and other days I can't even remember why I walked into the kitchen.
Mashed potatoes might actually be generous, Sophia. Today's topic is technology making us smarter or lazier? We're going to explore both sides very carefully, bring tons of real-world examples, studies, funny moments, and most importantly, every time we use a tricky phrase, slang, or difficult word, we'll stop and explain it clearly with simple examples so you can learn it and start using it yourself. By the end of this episode, you'll have new vocabulary, new ideas, and maybe a little crisis about your own phone habits.
Exactly. And if I say something totally crazy or exaggerate, William will fact check me on the spot. That's literally his favorite hobby. He gets this little smile when he catches me. It's adorable and annoying at the same time. But that's why we work so well together. He keeps me honest, and I keep him from falling asleep mid-sentence.
Someone has to do the job. Let's start with the positive side first, the argument that technology is making us smarter. The biggest reason people believe this is that we now have access to practically unlimited information 24/7. Think back just 20 or 25 years ago. If you wanted to learn French or cooking or how to fix your bicycle, your choices were limited. You went to the library and hoped they had a good book. You bought an expensive thick dictionary or textbook, or you paid for evening classes that happened only once a week. Today, you take out your phone, open YouTube, Duolingo, Khan Academy, or 100 other apps, and you can start learning in literally 5 seconds for free. With videos, games, and native speakers, information is no longer locked away, it's democratic. Anyone with internet can become an expert on almost anything if they want.
So true. Let me give you a perfect real example. My little cousin Max is only 10 years old, and I swear he already knows more about dinosaurs than most paleontologists I've seen on TV. Why? Because every afternoon he grabs his tablet, opens these incredible 3D animation videos, walks around virtual museums, watches scientists explain fossils, and even plays games where he rebuilds skeletons. The other day, he corrected me and said, "Sophia, it's not Brontosaurus anymore. It's Brontosaurus rex is wrong. It's now called Apatosaurus. But actually, there's a new paper saying Brontosaurus is valid again." I just stood there with my mouth open. And the craziest part, he can pronounce Pachycephalosaurus, those dome-headed dinosaurs that hit each other like rams. Most adults I know can't even get close. That's wild. Wild here means something so surprising or extreme that it feels almost unbelievable, like when you see a video of a cat riding a Roomba and you go, "That's wild."
Great example. And yes, wild means surprising or amazing in a cool, intense way. So as Sophia showed, information really is at our fingertips now. At our fingertips is an idiom that means something is immediately available and super easy to reach, just like your fingers are always right there. You don't have to travel, wait, or pay. You just touch the screen. Because of this, many researchers and educators say we are living in a golden age of learning. A golden age is a period when something is at its absolute peak, the best it has ever been. People use the same expression for Hollywood movies in the 1930s and 40s, or for ancient Greece when philosophy exploded. Today, they say it's a golden age for self-education because barriers have disappeared.
Golden age equals the best time ever for something. Got it. Love that phrase. But here's where I push back a little bit, William. Yes, we have all this information, but are we actually learning it deeply, or are we just Googling everything for 10 seconds and then forgetting it 5 minutes later? I call this the Google brain phenomenon. Your head becomes like a browser with a million tabs open. You don't remember the actual facts. You only remember that you can look them up anytime you want to. For example, I used to know the capital of every country in high school. Now, I panic if someone asks me the capital of Mongolia. I know it's Ulaanbaatar, but only because I just checked 2 seconds ago. Without the internet, I'm useless.
That's a totally fair point, and you're not imagining it. There is actual scientific research on exactly this. Psychologists call it the Google effect, or sometimes digital amnesia. Amnesia means loss of memory, like when someone hits their head in a movie and forgets who they are. Digital amnesia is the same idea, but caused by technology. Studies, for example, one from Columbia University years ago, and many that followed, showed that when people know they can find information online easily, their brains stop trying to store it long term. Instead, they remember where to find it or what search words to use. It's like your brain says, why rent expensive storage space in my head when I have free unlimited cloud storage? So we become experts at searching, not at remembering.
Digital amnesia. Wow, that phrase sounds dramatic, but it fits my life perfectly. I honestly don't know a single phone number by heart anymore. Not my best friend's, not my mom's, not even my own work number sometimes. I just open contacts and tap the name. My brain literally goes, why bother storing the information? The phone will remember for me forever. It's convenient, but it feels a bit scary, like I'm outsourcing my memory. And yes, I do feel dumber some days because of it.
Exactly. And that word outsourcing is perfect, even though we usually use it for companies. To offload something means to take a responsibility or task and give it to someone or something else so you don't have to do it yourself. For example, big companies offload customer service to call centers in another country. You offload your photos to Google Photos so your phone doesn't get full. We are now offloading memory to devices. It's incredibly efficient, no question. But the big debate is, does that efficiency make us lazier in the long run? Because previous generations had to memorize poems in school, multiplication tables up to 12 times 12, the capitals of every country, historical dates, famous speeches, all of that built mental muscle. Today we say, why memorize when I can Google? So are we losing that muscle?
Multiplication tables. Just hearing that gives me flashbacks to 3rd grade trauma, sitting there crying over 9 times 8. But okay, William, I see your point completely. On the other hand, maybe not memorizing all that random stuff actually frees up brain space for real creativity and important thinking. Think about it. I don't need to keep 50 phone numbers, the exact population of Canada, or the recipe for banana bread stored in my head. That mental energy can go somewhere better, like writing songs, inventing new recipes, coming up with business ideas, or just daydreaming, which is actually super important for creativity. My brain isn't full of useless facts anymore. It has room to play.
That's the strongest counterargument, and many psychologists agree with you. Technology acts like a cognitive prosthesis. It handles the boring, repetitive, low-level tasks so that human brains can focus on higher-level thinking, problem-solving, and imagination. A classic example is accountants or engineers. 50 years ago, accountants spent hours and hours adding long columns of numbers by hand or with simple calculators. One tiny mistake and the whole report was wrong. Today, Excel or specialized software does those calculations perfectly in seconds. So the accountant isn't wasting time adding numbers anymore. Instead, they analyze trends, predict future profits, give strategic advice to the company. Same with writers. Spell check and grammar tools catch small errors so the writer can concentrate on telling a powerful story. The tool removes the drudgery. Drudgery means boring, repetitive work that feels endless. And that leaves more energy for the creative and intelligent part of the job.
Yes! Or think about GPS. Seriously, one of the best and worst inventions at the same time. Back in the day, if you were driving to a new place, you had to print out MapQuest directions or unfold one of those giant paper maps that never folded back the right way. I still have nightmares about trying to read a map while driving in the rain. Super stressful, dangerous, and you ended up yelling at everyone in the car because we missed the exit. Now I just open Waze or Google Maps, stick my phone on the dashboard, and a calm voice tells me, in 500 feet, turn left. Am I lazier because I don't learn the route anymore? Maybe a little, but I'm also way less lost. I arrive on time, and I'm not screaming at my friends because we missed the exit. So honestly, I'll take that trade-off any day. Trade-off means you give up one thing to get something better, like trading sleep for coffee in the morning.
That's actually a perfect real-world example, Sophia. GPS is probably the clearest case study we have for how technology changes the brain. There have been several famous studies on taxi drivers in London. To get their license, they have to pass something called the knowledge. That means they memorize 25,000 streets and thousands of landmarks in a 6-mile radius from the city center. It usually takes 2 to 4 years of full-time study. Brain scans show that these drivers have a noticeably bigger hippocampus than the average person. The hippocampus is the part of your brain that handles spatial memory and navigation. It's like your internal GPS. After smartphone navigation apps became popular, researchers started scanning newer drivers who rely on GPS every day. Guess what? Their hippocampi are smaller on average, closer to normal size, because they never trained that part of the brain the hard way. The skill simply isn't needed anymore, so the brain doesn't grow that area as much.
Wait, hold up. You're telling me their brains literally changed shape because of an app? Like the actual physical size of a brain region got smaller just because they stopped memorizing streets? That is both creepy and super cool at the same time. Creepy here means something that feels a little scary or unnatural, like when you watch a horror movie and get goosebumps. And cool obviously means awesome or fascinating. So yeah, creepy cool is the perfect word for brain-changing technology.
Exactly. And this brings us to a really important concept in neuroscience, brain plasticity. Plasticity sounds fancy, but it just means your brain is not fixed like a rock. It's more like soft clay that can reshape itself depending on what you do every day. There's a famous saying in brain science, use it or lose it. If you practice piano every day, the parts of your brain that control fingers grow stronger connections. If you stop practicing for years, those connections weaken, and the brain reallocates that space to something else you use more, like scrolling social media. It's efficient, but it also means we can lose abilities we don't practice anymore. The London taxi example is probably the strongest proof we have that technology can physically change our brains in measurable ways.
Okay, brain clay, got it. But let's move to another huge problem that keeps me awake at night. Attention span. I swear on everything, my attention span is now shorter than a goldfish. Everyone quotes that statistic that says the average human attention span dropped to 8 or 9 seconds, which is less than a real goldfish. I don't know if the number is 100% accurate, but it feels true. I open TikTok and it's boom, 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 15 seconds of a dance, 10 seconds of a recipe, 7 seconds of a cat falling off a couch. My brain is trained to want a new hit of dopamine every few seconds. Dopamine hit is that little rush of pleasure you get when something exciting happens, like when your crush likes your photo. Social media companies design their apps to give you tiny dopamine hits over and over so you never stop scrolling.
That's a very real concern, and the research backs you up. Multiple studies show the average attention span for a single task has dropped significantly since smartphones became common. The constant notifications train our brains to expect interruptions all the time. Every buzz, vibration, or ping releases a tiny bit of dopamine because our brain thinks, maybe this is important. It's exactly like training a dog to beg for treats. You ring a bell, give a treat, ring a bell, give a treat. Soon the dog sits and stares every time the bell rings. Our phones are the bell, and we are the dogs dropping everything the moment we hear a ping. Over time, it becomes harder to focus deeply on one thing for 20 or 30 minutes without feeling restless.
Ping is just the little sound your phone makes when a message or notification arrives, like a tiny doorbell in your pocket. And yeah, I'm totally the guilty dog in this story. My phone pings and I'm like a Pavlovian puppy. I have to check it immediately. I even put it on silent sometimes and I still pick it up every 5 minutes just in case I miss something. It's embarrassing.
We've all been there. But here's the other side of the coin, because there's always another side. Technology can actually help people who naturally have short attention spans. Kids and adults with ADHD, which stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, often struggle terribly with traditional books or long lectures. Sitting still and reading page after page feels like torture. But many of them learn amazingly well with interactive apps, gamified lessons, and short videos because they get instant feedback and little rewards. The app celebrates every tiny win, which keeps their brain engaged instead of frustrated.
Totally, 100%. My younger brother Leo has ADHD and school was a nightmare for him for years. He hated reading because it felt slow and boring. Then we found these reading apps that turn books into games. Every time he reads a page or gets a word right, fireworks explode on the screen, he earns coins, and a cartoon character says, "You're a superstar." He went from hating reading to begging to do it every night. For the first time, he felt like a champion instead of a failure who couldn't sit still. Technology didn't make him more lazy. It finally let his brain learn in the way it needed.
Beautiful example. So technology isn't making everyone lazier. It can adapt to different kinds of brains and learning styles. For some people, it removes barriers and makes education smarter, more personalized, and actually fun. Instead of one-size-fits-all classrooms, kids now have tools that match their speed and style. That's progress, not laziness.
Fair, you win that round. But now let's talk about something that worries teachers everywhere: critical thinking. When I can open ChatGPT and say, write me a 5-paragraph essay about climate change, and it does it in 10 seconds, am I still thinking critically, or am I just copying homework and cheating my way through school? Because I've definitely done that more than once in college when I was desperate.
That is literally the biggest debate in education right now. Tools like ChatGPT or other AI can generate full essays, solve math problems, even write poetry in seconds. If a student just copies and pastes, they learn almost nothing. They're cheating themselves more than anyone else. But teachers are noticing something interesting. The students who use AI the smart way to brainstorm ideas, get a rough draft, find sources, or understand difficult concepts, and then write their own version in their own words, those students actually improve faster. They learn structure, vocabulary, and arguments by studying what the AI produced. So the same tool can either destroy learning or supercharge it depending on how you use it.
So it really depends on the person holding the tool. It's exactly like a kitchen knife. You can use it to cut bread and feed your family, or you can use it to hurt someone. The knife itself isn't good or evil, it's neutral. The intention of the user decides everything. I love that way of thinking.
Perfect analogy. Technology is always neutral. It just makes whatever you already want to do easier and faster. There's a great phrase for this. Tools amplify human intent. Amplify means to make bigger or louder, like turning up the volume on music. If your intent is lazy, like cheating on every assignment, the tool amplifies laziness. If your intent is curiosity, like exploring a topic you love for hours, the tool amplifies learning and creativity. The power was always in the human. The tool just makes it louder.
Amplify is make bigger or stronger. Got it? Adding that to my vocabulary list. Okay, let's move to something that hits close to home. Social skills. A lot of older people complain that we're becoming socially lazy because we text instead of calling, we send emojis instead of talking face-to-face, and we have Zoom birthday parties instead of real ones. Are we losing the ability to have deep, real conversations?
That's a valid worry, but let's look at the pandemic years as evidence for the other side. When the world shut down, video tools like Zoom, FaceTime, and WhatsApp literally saved millions of relationships. My own grandmother was 82 when everything closed. She had never used a computer in her life. My aunt taught her how to use Zoom in one afternoon, and suddenly she was having Sunday dinner with all her grandchildren and great-grandchildren every single week. even though some of us live thousands of miles away. Without that technology, distance and lockdowns would have isolated her completely. She told me it was the happiest 2 years of her later life because she saw the babies grow up in real time. Technology didn't make us lazier there. It made love and connection possible when it otherwise wouldn't have been.
Aw, that story makes me tear up every time. Technology can be so beautiful when it connects people. But now that the pandemic is over, some of us, okay, me, still choose Netflix and texting over actually meeting friends for coffee. I know I should call my best friend more, but typing is easier when I'm tired. That's the lazy part I'm not proud of.
Totally fair. And there's even a word for the rude habit you're talking about: phubbing. It's a combination of phone and snubbing. Snubbing means ignoring someone on purpose, like turning your back on them at a party. Phubbing is when you're sitting right next to a real human being, but you keep checking your phone instead of talking to them. Surveys say over 90% of young people do it regularly, and it drives parents, teachers, and partners crazy. It's become so common that restaurants sometimes put little signs on tables: "No phubbing zone." It's rude, it hurts feelings, and yes, it's a form of social laziness that technology makes way too easy.
Phubbing. Honestly, I just learned that word 5 minutes ago and I already feel attacked because I do it all the time. Like literally last week, I was having dinner with my best friend. We were talking about her breakup, super serious moment, and my phone buzzed. I swear it was muscle memory. I picked it up, scrolled Instagram for 30 seconds, and when I looked up, she was staring at me like I just kicked her puppy. I felt so bad, I almost threw my phone into the soup. Sorry, William. I probably do it to you too when we record. Promise I'll try the stop. Starting tomorrow.
I noticed, yes, but I'll forgive you. Anyway, let's move to one of the hottest parts of this debate: creativity. A lot of older artists and writers complain that technology is killing real creativity because most of us just consume endless videos, songs, and memes instead of making our own stuff. They say we're turning into passive zombies who only watch and like, never create. On the other hand, people argue that we've never lived in a time when it's been easier or cheaper to create and share original work. Anyone with a phone can record professional-sounding music using free apps like GarageBand or BandLab, edit cinematic videos on CapCut or iMovie, write a blog on Medium or Substack, design clothes on Canva. The list is endless. 10, 20 years ago, you needed expensive equipment, studio time, a record label, or a publisher to even dream of reaching an audience. Now, you press publish, and the whole world can see it in seconds.
Exactly. Let me paint the picture. 10 or 15 years ago, if a 15-year-old kid wanted to record an original song, their parents had to pay thousands of dollars for studio time, hire a producer, buy fancy microphones, and then pray that someone at a record label liked the demo. Most kids never even got that far. Today, that same 15-year-old downloads a free DAW, that's digital audio workstation, basically a music studio in your laptop, opens GarageBand or FL Studio on an old phone, records vocals in their closet with blankets for soundproofing, adds beats, and boom, they drop a fire track straight to SoundCloud or TikTok from their bedroom at 2 a.m. Drop a track just means release a new song for everyone to hear, like dropping a new product in a store. And fire is Gen Z slang for something that's really, really good. Hot, amazing, addictive. I've heard 12-year-olds making songs that sound better than stuff on the radio. It's mind-blowing.
Absolutely. And because of that explosion of creation, language itself is evolving faster than ever before. New slang, new memes, new expressions pop up every single week and spread around the planet in hours thanks to TikTok and Twitter. Linguists say the speed of language change right now is faster than any other period in human history, except maybe the invention of the printing press. We're watching English mutate in real time.
For real, I try to keep up, but half the time I have no clue what Gen Alpha is saying. Riz means charisma or the ability to flirt smoothly, like he's got Ohio Riz means he's super charming in a weird way. Skibbity started as nonsense from a viral video, and now kids use it for anything bad or scary. And Ohio itself became a meme for something totally crazy or cursed. I asked my 10-year-old neighbor what skibbity toilet meant, and he looked at me like I was from another planet. Gen Alpha is the generation born after 2010, by the way. They're growing up with iPads instead of toys, so their language is basically internet poison mixed with brain rot. And I say that with love.
They are podcasting this voice on radio. Gen Alpha is kids born roughly 2010 to 2025, yes? But let's get back to the main point. All these tools, from music apps to video editors to AI art generators, dramatically lower the barrier to entry for creative work. Lower the barrier to entry is a business phrase that means making it much easier and cheaper for new people to start doing something that used to be hard or expensive. Think of it like lowering the cover charge at a club. Suddenly, way more people can come in and join the party. When the barrier drops, millions of new voices, new songs, new stories, and new ideas flood the world. Yes, there's a lot of garbage, but there are also absolute gems that never would have existed otherwise. More people creating means more chances of genius appearing.
So maybe the real answer is that we're getting lazier at the boring, repetitive stuff, like memorizing phone numbers or handwriting long letters, but we're getting way smarter and more creative at the fun, meaningful stuff. We're outsourcing the drudgery so our brains can play, invent, and dream bigger than ever before.
That's actually a beautiful summary, Sophia. We outsource routine, low-value tasks to machines and free up cognitive resources for innovation and high-level thinking. Outsource is originally a business term when a company gives part of its work to another company, usually overseas, to save money, like when a U.S. company outsources customer service to India. Here, we're doing the same thing but outsourcing boring mental jobs to phones and computers. The brain gets to keep the good jobs, imagining, connecting ideas, making art, solving real problems. That's not laziness, that's smart delegation.
I love that balance. I really do. But I still have this tiny worry in the back of my mind about kids today. So many of them can't write cursive handwriting anymore. Some can't tie their own shoelaces properly, and a scary number can't read an analog clock. You know, the ones with hands that go around. Teachers tell me 7-year-olds look at a clock with hands and have no idea what time it is. Are we accidentally raising a generation that's super smart with screens, but helpless with basic life skills?
Those are fine motor skills and cultural traditions, not measures of intelligence. Cursive writing was invented when fountain pens were new, and it stopped ink from smudging. Today, we type 99% of everything. Reading an analog clock is similar. It's a skill from a time when digital clocks didn't exist. Honestly, do we really need cursive in 2025 the same way people in 1850 needed to know how to shoe a horse or milk a cow by hand? Those were essential skills then, but today, we'd call someone weird if they spent years mastering horseshoeing unless they actually work with horses. Skills become obsolete when technology changes the world. Obsolete means no longer useful or needed, like floppy disks or VHS tapes. Losing cursives isn't making kids dumber, it's just evolution.
Harsh, but completely fair, William. You got me there. Okay, final round, no more distractions. What's your actual verdict? After everything we talked about, do you think technology is making us smarter or lazier, or is it a tie?
My verdict is both and neither. Technology itself doesn't have the power to make us smarter or lazier. It only amplifies what we already choose to do. When we use it actively to learn new languages, create music, solve real problems, connect with loved ones, build businesses, it makes us dramatically smarter, more capable, and more creative than any generation in history. When we use it passively, endless scrolling, doom scrolling, bad news, outsourcing our thinking and memory completely, phubbing our friends, then yes, it turns us into lazier, shallower versions of ourselves. The tool is neutral, the user decides. So the real question isn't about technology, it's about us.
I agree 100%, could not have said it better. My verdict is simpler. Technology is exactly like caffeine. A smart amount in the morning, 1 or 2 cups, makes you sharp, focused, energetic, productive, ready to conquer the day. Too much, like 5 espressos, and you're shaking, anxious, can't sleep, heart racing, regretting every life choice. Same with phones and apps. Use them as a boost, not as your whole personality, and you win.
That's a perfect analogy, Sophia. I'm stealing it. So, listeners, please remember, the question we started with isn't, is technology good or bad? Because that's too simple. The real question you need to ask yourself every day is, how am I using it right now? Is this making me better or just killing time? Your answer today shapes the person you become tomorrow.
Exactly. So, practical challenge, put the phone down sometimes. Go for a walk without music. Talk to a real human face-to-face. Memorize a short poem just for fun. Cook without looking up the recipe. Draw something terrible on paper. Find balance, baby. Balance, baby is just my silly way of saying keep things equal and healthy, like eating vegetables with your pizza.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Aurora English. If you enjoyed this conversation, please share it with a friend or leave us a review. It really helps new listeners find us. Today, we explained tons of useful phrases and words: offload, amplify, golden age, phubbing, lower the barrier to entry, trade-off, dopamine hit, use it or lose it, obsolete, and many more. Practice them this week and you'll sound like a native speaker in no time.
And next time, we're coming back with something even spicier. Spicier means more exciting, controversial, or dramatic, like extra hot sauce on your tacos. Any guesses what the topic will be? Drop them in the comments.
You'll have to wait and see. We love keeping you curious. See you very soon.
Bye, everyone. Stay curious, stay kind, and try not to be lazy today. Love you.